Hello and welcome to Digging with Dugan. Today we're going to be talking about Rome again, specifically about the Roman military's form at this particular place and time. Most people, when they imagine the Roman Empire, they immediately think of the Lorica segmentata, fully formed, the layered plates across the shoulders with, the chainmail, the red, the helmet with fully formed with its crest across the top if you're a centurion, and all sorts of. Basically, people imagine the military near the late empire period throughout its entire history. They imagine that. Yeah, it's always looked like that, right? No, really, no. In the Roman military's inception, they were copycats in the local area, like everybody else, to an extent at least. They began to use the hoplite system, as it's called, in a very loose form. They formed a shield wall. It's a frowned upon term these days. Historians, the most rudimentary sort of military thing. But they indulged in the Greek tradition of shield walls, but when they started fighting the Samnites, those proved ineffective due to the rough terrain they found themselves on frequently. Throughout Roman history, they will innovate. So first they'll go in straight walls, later they'll place groups, and with behind it they'll have groups behind those gaps, and behind them they'll have a third group. It's a three-line system with the youngest in the front, the experienced younger men in the middle, and the most experienced veterans in the back. They'd cycle these guys throughout. And in the beginning, say that a lot, but their military was not uniform. Bring Your Own Gear was the name of the day. So, with the exception of perhaps some communities of nobles who would agree to all paint their armor a certain way and get these certain equipment. The exception of those guys, like the regular professional nobility, everyone else just random shit. Sometimes they've been on a campaign before, and they might be dressed half like the enemy because they killed that guy and took his shit. So that is how it goes. They're very messy. As far as range units go, they all carried what's called the pilum, which is a throwing spear. It's designed to basically fall apart when it hits the enemy's shield so that they can't toss it back at you, because that was pretty standard Celtic tradition to tuck your opponent's weapons back at them. So as that moved on, and things continue later into what will be called the Marian reforms, things will get a little more uniform. But for now, we're still, a messy conglomerate, and the experience varies heavily, both between men and units and time periods in generals. The leadership is ad hoc, based on an electoral basis, and elitist dingleberries are in charge, and they all want to make money, and they're all horribly racist. Yeah. In these early periods, there can be a lot of parallels made to the American South. In a more true Wild West, every man for himself kind of an aspect. American South was kind of, a unit in and of itself. In hindsight, we know we say that we know that, the American South was gonna triumph over the Native Americans and, clandestine bullshit, and that they should have done it, and, blah, 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 all this tied in bullshit. Well, it's a lot less obvious who's gonna win, in Rome, at least with people experiencing it at the time. Again, in hindsight, I've said that, the Italians don't look like they have that great a chance against the Romans. But it wasn't always that way. I mean, once upon a time, Rome got sacked by Celts. And she'll be sacked again one day. Not for a long time, though. Spoiler alert, I suppose. So, yep, that's the early Roman military. She ran off of, well, citizens and their volunteer time to the state. It can be said that later in Roman history, there'll be an issue where the landowners are being held away from their land for too long, and it actually causes a lot of problems for the soldiers. For now, that's not an issue because most of their wars are local, but that's a problem for another day. Have a